I never thought I would be the kind of man writing something like this, but here I am. 68 years old, retired, and sitting alone in a house that feels more like a museum than a home. For most of my life, I thought I understood what loyalty meant. I thought I understood love. My wife, Margaret, and I had been married for over 40 years. We met in our 20s, built a life together, raised 2 children, and even welcomed grandchildren. To everyone around us, we were the picture of stability, the couple that made it through thick and thin. I believed that too. Retirement was supposed to be our golden chapter. No more long shifts at the factory for me, no more late nights of grading papers for her, just us, enjoying the little things we had earned. We talked about road trips, gardening, maybe even moving closer to the grandkids. For the first couple of years, things seemed fine, comfortable, predictable, but then small things started to change. At first, I didn't want to see them. She started guarding her phone like it was some national secret. She used to leave it on the counter face up, ringing without a care. Now, she kept it in her pocket, screen down, and I swear she flinched every time I walked into the room while she was texting. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd brush it off. "Oh, just Linda from church." "Oh, just a parent from the school I used to teach at." The late nights came next. She started saying she was helping out with community events, church activities, or book club meetings. Sometimes she wouldn't come home until after 10. Now, Margaret had always been social, but this was different. She'd come home flushed, her hair a little out of place, her perfume stronger than when she left. I asked once if everything was okay, if she was tired, if she needed to slow down. She just smiled and said, "Oh, don't be silly. It feels good to stay busy." I wanted to believe her. I really did. At my age, you don't want to start doubting the foundation of your entire life. You don't want to look too closely at the cracks in case the whole thing falls apart. One evening, I was sitting in my chair reading when her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She was in the kitchen. I glanced at the screen and saw a name I didn't recognize. David. The message preview said, "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." My chest tightened, my ears rang, my whole body went cold. When she came back into the room, I handed her the phone without a word. She looked at the screen, then at me, and for a split second I saw panic flash across her face. But then she laughed. "Oh, David. He's just a friend from church. He and his wife are going through a rough patch. I'm just being supportive." Her explanation was too smooth, too quick, but I wanted so badly for it to be true that I forced myself to nod, forced myself to swallow the doubt clawing at my throat. That night, though, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was losing my mind or if I was already too late. The suspicion ate at me. I started noticing things I had ignored before. The way she smiled at her phone, the way she lingered before leaving the house, the excuses that didn't quite line up. I told myself I was paranoid, that I was being foolish, but deep down I knew. I never imagined I'd be the kind of man to sneak around. But one afternoon, when she left her phone unattended in the bathroom, I couldn't resist. My hands shook as I opened her messages. There he was, David. Dozens of messages stretching back months. Flirty jokes, late-night confessions, even pictures. Nothing too explicit, but intimate enough to make my stomach churn. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. I put the phone back before she noticed, but something in me broke that day. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. Her laugh sounded hollow. Her touch felt foreign. I started pulling away without even realizing it. The final straw came on a Thursday morning. She told me she was meeting the girls for brunch. I nodded, kissed her cheek, and waited 10 minutes before grabbing my coat. I drove to the cafe she mentioned, parked across the street and waited. And then I saw her, walking in, smiling brighter than I'd seen in years. Not with the girls. With him. David. They hugged. He kissed her cheek. She touched his arm like she used to touch mine. In that moment, my world collapsed. 40 years of marriage, of trust, of shared memories, gone in the blink of an eye. I lasted 3 days before I finally broke. 3 days of pretending everything was normal. 3 days of forcing smiles and empty small talk while my insides were tearing apart. Every time she looked at me, every time she laughed, every time she touched my arm, I felt sick. I couldn't stand the lies anymore. On the third evening after dinner, I asked her to sit down with me in the living room. She looked a little confused, maybe even nervous. I almost lost my courage, but then I remembered the kiss I saw at the cafe, the texts, the pictures. I couldn't let myself back down. "I know," I said quietly. Her brows furrowed. "Know what?" "About David," I whispered. My voice shook, but the words were like stones tumbling out of my mouth. "I know what's been going on. I've seen the messages. I followed you to the cafe." Her face drained of color. For a moment, she looked like she might faint. Then, just as quickly, her expression hardened, and she crossed her arms. "You went through my phone? You followed me?" The deflection stung almost as much as the betrayal itself. "Don't turn this on me," I snapped, louder than I intended. "I didn't create this situation. You did. You've been lying to me, sneaking around. For how long?" She hesitated, then sighed, like I was just some burden she had to deal with. "A year," she admitted softly. "Almost a year. A year." The word echoed in my head. While I was planning road trips, picturing us growing old together in peace, she was building another life behind my back. "Why?" I asked. My voice cracked, raw with disbelief. "After everything we've been through, 40 years, kids, grandkids." "Why?" She didn't look at me. She stared at the floor, twisting her wedding ring around her finger. "I don't know," she muttered. "I guess I felt invisible. You were always working, then when you retired, you just hovered. I needed something different, something that made me feel alive again." Her words cut deeper than any knife could. Invisible, hovering. I had sacrificed decades of my life providing for her, for our family, and now I was being told I was too much, too present. "So what?" I asked bitterly. "He makes you feel young again, special? And what am I? Just the old man you keep around for show." She flinched, but didn't deny it. I think that hurt the most. Not the affair itself, not even the lies, but the realization that she didn't regret it. Not really. She regretted getting caught. I stood up, my knees trembling. "You've destroyed us," I said quietly. "Whatever we had, whatever I thought we were, it's gone." She reached out, tears forming in her eyes. "Please, don't do this. We can work through it. It was a mistake." But it wasn't a mistake. Mistakes happen once. A year-long affair is a choice. I walked out of the living room that night and slept in the guest room. For the first time in 40 years, I couldn't bear to lie beside her. And in that silence, lying alone, I realized my marriage had ended long before I found the courage to admit it. The days that followed were the hardest of my life. At my age, you don't expect to start over. Divorce? Heartbreak? Those are things you think belong to the younger years, not the years when you're supposed to be enjoying the fruits of a lifetime of work. But there I was, 68 years old, sitting in a lawyer's office, signing papers I never thought I'd have to sign. Our kids were devastated when they found out. Some of them tried to take her side, saying maybe we could work it out. Others were angry at her, furious that she'd thrown away decades for a fling. But I wasn't interested in dividing the family into teams. I just wanted the truth to be acknowledged. And the truth was simple. She chose someone else over the life we built. The nights were the worst. After 40 years of sharing a bed, sleeping alone felt unbearable. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage. Was it all a lie? Were the good years even real? Or had I just been blind the whole time? Slowly, though, I began to realize something important. The love I gave wasn't wasted. The years I devoted weren't meaningless. I was loyal. I was faithful. I gave everything I had. Her betrayal doesn't erase that. It only defines her. I started finding small ways to reclaim my life. Morning walks became my therapy. I joined a local seniors group, made new friends, even started taking painting classes, something I'd always wanted to try but never made time for. For the first time in decades, I was living for myself, not for someone else's approval. Don't get me wrong, I still ache sometimes. When I see an old couple holding hands at the park, I feel that sting of envy. That should have been us. That could have been us. But then I remind myself, I deserve better than someone who can smile to my face while kissing another man behind my back. If you're reading this and you're older like me, maybe you've been through something similar. Or maybe you're suspicious right now and afraid of what you might find. Let me tell you, trust your instincts. Don't gaslight yourself into ignoring the truth. And don't let anyone tell you that you're too old to start over. Betrayal cuts deep at any age, but healing is always possible. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't erase the past. But slowly, day by day, you learn to carry it. You learn to rebuild. I thought my story ended the day I caught her at that cafe, but it turns out it was just the end of one chapter. The rest of my life is still unwritten, and this time I get to decide how it goes. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more true betrayal stories like this one, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your support motivates me to keep creating more content for you.